And I'd like to start by just giving you an update about some things happening at the Chesapeake Bay program. Um, so we can go to the next slide. So you may be familiar with the total maximum daily load, the TMDL, that the Chesapeake Bay program partnership is pursuing, that is based on nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment reductions, often referred to as the Bay TMDL, but it's for just those pollutants, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment. And we had set some goals for having practices in place to allow our jurisdiction partners to reach their water quality standards by 2025. The goal was to have practices in place that would eventually reach the standards by 2025. And we didn't quite make that goal. We did make it for sediment, but didn't quite make it for nitrogen and phosphorus. So the question came up, what is the future of the program with regard to our executive level goals for those pollutants and all of the other elements of achieving our vision of a restored bay and watershed? And what's happened over the last year is that a steering committee called Beyond 2025 Steering Committee did a lot of interviewing and looking at information and talking to stakeholders to make some suggestions about how we should go about reevaluating our executive level goals and the future of the program. And from that report, the Chesapeake Bay Program's Executive Council, and that's the governors in the states, plus the mayor of the District of Columbia, the chair of the Bay Commission, and the EPA administrator. That is our Executive Council, and they meet every year. They'll be meeting in December, and at that meeting coming up in this December, they will issue a charge back to the principal staff committee. And that charge essentially is going to direct the program to come up with revisions for our watershed agreement that happened in 2014. So the last time that we redid the entire agreement was 2014. And the PSC will go about considering changes to the goals and outcomes or sub-goals of the Chesapeake Watershed Agreement. So in December, the council will charge the PSC with looking at all of our goals and coming back to them with suggested changes. Now, in this agreement, with regard to pesticides, there is one goal for reducing toxic contaminants to a level that doesn't impact living resources and human health. We have that one goal. And then we have a couple of goals underneath that having to do with reducing pollutants and continuing to do research so that we understand how these pollutants impact the bay. So we will be looking at that goal and its outcomes or sub-goals and coming up with ideas for ways to make those even more inspirational and effective goals, ones that we can track and be accountable to. And so it'll be a very interesting time coming up. We invite anyone who has an interest in this topic in the Chesapeake watershed to join this discussion. You can find a lot of information at chesapeakebay.net. And among this community, we will be asking for input during 2025 as to how this partnership should be addressing toxic contaminants going forward. So this is a pretty critical time. Each time we've done this in the past, we've ended up with a conclusion that we can't achieve the vision of a restored bay without working on chemical contaminants and pollutants beyond nitrogen and phosphorus. And so we hope that's the way that the partnership will conclude this again. And it also is supported by the fact that Congress called for a toxics reduction strategy in the Clean Water Act, Section 117, that charters the Chesapeake Bay program. So we're really hopeful that this element will stay strongly present in the next in the future of the Bay Program partnership, and we invite everyone to join the conversation in the coming year. All right, well, that is a quick update on probably the biggest news coming out of the Chesapeake Bay program, and we will be talking a lot more about it in the coming year. All right, well, if you have